Look, I want to talk at you real quick this morning, and you'll see the view here. The camera angle is a little different because I'm doing this off my iPhone because I'm in the midst of 20 other things and I got my laptop packed away. But I thought this was critical enough time wise that I wanted to put this out right away. I don't know if in the dictionary there's actually such a word as scumbaggery. If there's not, there should be. And it ought to be described as the conduct of Brian Cutler in the state legislature. I mean, every time that I think that I've gotten to the point where I understand just how devoid of principle this guy is, he manages to stand up and he manages to do something that just blows my mind. I mean, he proves me wrong. I'm like, oh wait, I thought you were only this much of a disaster, but good Lord, you're even worse. So Cutler, as we know, is facing a really serious primary challenge from Dave Nistley, who's an awesome candidate and who you need to get behind down in the Quarryville area. Okay. And Cutler's feeling the heat, and he's feeling the heat, obviously, from folks within the Republican Party who are fed up with his nonsense and calling him on the fact that he's a sellout. So, of course, he has decided to just double down on the lies that he is telling. So he is now circulating. I kid you not. I mean, the audacity that it takes to do this is just mind blowing, and yet it is absolutely 100% true. He's circulating documents, flyers, supposed to be sort of news sheets, releases from his campaign, claiming that he is the dedicated conservative, the guy who's standing up for your principles and fighting the liberal Democrats in Harrisburg. Now, as I was saying that, actually, I got to tell you, I was having some trouble even getting those words out because, good Lord, one of these sheets that he's putting out claims that he is fighting for election integrity. Now, if you're paying attention, you know that we can trace back basically every issue we have with election integrity in the state to the passage of Act 77, which moved us to mail-in voting, which opened a Pandora's box that then allowed the state Supreme Court to step in and Democratic governors to begin to play games. But all of that traces back to the fact that we took a system based on in-person voting and we scrapped it, we trashed it, we went into this Wild West world where anything goes and you can steal elections. That legislation, Act 77, was passed by a Republican-controlled legislature. Let me say this again. Passed by a Republican-controlled legislature. The Republican Party was in control of the Senate and the House. And leadership, Republican leadership, shoved that thing through and ordered Republican legislators to vote for it. And a grand total of 2 of them found the spine, the intestinal fortitude to stand up to that. Everybody else knuckled under. Right there in front as leadership, leading the charge, making this happen, destroying the integrity of our voting system was Brian Cutler. Brian Cutler is the guy who gave you Act 77. Every time you look at all of these issues with mail-in voting and the Supreme Court and drop boxes and all this stuff, the point of origin is a bill this guy pushed through, who now wants you to think that he's all about election integrity. The second broadsheet he's got running around now is one where he claims that he's holding the line against radical Democrats in the legislature. He's the conservative standing there fighting all day. Are you kidding me? Right? In the not so distant past, while the Republicans were still in control of the House, Brian Cutler made a secret deal with the Democrats, took 17 Republicans with him, crossed over, and installed a Democratic speaker in the House. While the Republicans were in control and had the majority and could have put in place a Republican speaker, Brian cut a backroom deal, took 17 other Republicans with him, and he did it without telling the rest of his caucus. Literally, the Republicans in the House were in caucus in a meeting where they're meeting aside by themselves, decide on the game plan, which is to put in place a Republican speaker. And they go out on the floor and discover, much to their horror, that Brian and 17 other Republicans, without even whispering that they intended to do so, have turned on them, have turned traitor, have crossed over, and they install a Democratic Speaker of the House, who, by the way, then shuts down the House until special elections are held. And when they come back, the Democrats now have the majority. This is a guy who stabbed his own party in the back in broad daylight and climbed in bed with the Democratic Party to give them control of the speaker's position, even when the Republicans still have the majority, who now has the unmitigated gall to claim that he is fighting the Democratic agenda. We call him Lion Brian for a reason, but I got to tell you, man, this stuff just blows your mind that anybody could manage with a straight face to put out this kind of crap. Get behind Dave Nisley. Send a signal. Throw Brian Cutler out on his butt and tell Harrisburg you have had enough of this kind of lying and garbage. I'll talk to you soon.